All right, guys, today we're going to talk about the Freightliner M2 and why you should consider one for your dumpster rental business. I'm Marlon with Quality Trucking Equipment. If you're new to the channel, the only thing we do is build hook lift trucks. Behind me, I have got a 2026 Freightliner M2, and I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I think you should consider this truck for your business. The first one is price. Guys, we know that that's super important to you when you're purchasing an expensive truck is the price, and we're going to break that down to you. Number 2 is dealer network. I'm telling you guys, you need to think and understand dealer network when you're buying an expensive piece of equipment. Number 3 is the features and benefits of a Freightliner M2, and we're going to show you some really cool things that a Freightliner has that I think you will find very appealing if you would own and operate one of these trucks. And the 4th thing is the equipment on the back of this truck. That is something that is also important to you guys hauling trash every day, knowing what is the right equipment so you can be successful in your business. All right, guys, let's discuss the price. I think that's probably one of the number 1 questions we get when somebody calls in about a new truck is, what is the price and why is it so expensive? And why is this truck this much and this one is this much? So here's a breakdown on a Freightliner M2. So they have always been cheaper than a Peterbilt and a Kenworth. Now that price though has changed, that price difference. A Peterbilt and a Kenworth used to be $10,000 to $12,000 more than a Freightliner. Peterbilt has lowered their prices on the chassis, trying to get more market share, and so that price difference isn't as great as what it was only a year ago. So right now, it's about $5,000 to $8,000 less than a Peterbilt. If you go to a Kenworth, there's still more like $10,000 price difference. So that's what makes this truck appealing, is the price point, and that should be a big concern to you. If you can get this truck $8,000 less than maybe a Peterbilt or a Kenworth, can you buy an additional 1 or 2 dumpsters for the same amount of money? And we all know that dumpsters is where you make your money, renting out dumpsters. So you got to think about that. So that's really what makes this truck appealing. One of the reasons is because of the price. Number 2, dealer network. Guys, I want to really stress the importance of a Freightliner dealer network. So you guys have heard me say it before, but I want you to think about it. Do you have a good Freightliner dealer close to you? Have you sat down and talked to them? Have you went in and visited them to see what kind of customer service they give you? Freightliner has a really good network across the entire USA. So as of right now, they have right around 843 locations across the US. Fun fact, Texas has 100 of them. So there's more Freightliner dealers in Texas than anywhere else in the US. I have no idea why. But Texas is a big state. So find out who your dealer is. I think that's super important. One of the reasons that we like Freightliner so well is because of the dealer that we work with. We have an amazing relationship with our Freightliner dealer. He understands our business. He understands what we're looking to do. And they have worked very hard at earning our business and making it work so that we can use these chassis for our customers. So that's why we really like the Freightliner M2, is because of the dealer that we get to work with here in Michigan. And we have ordered a bunch of these trucks for 2026. So we're going to have a lot of these trucks coming in. They're going to be available. Also, it's a truck that has always sold well for us. So I know you guys out there running them like them. I really like the price of their parts. Their parts are not astronomical. They're reasonable. Their parts availability has always been very good. If the local dealer doesn't stock it, more than likely another dealer has it. The other thing to think about is all these Freightliners have Cummins engines, Allison transmissions. So you can go to any authorized Cummins dealer to get the engine worked on, whether it's warranty or repair issues. Same for the transmission. All of these have Allison transmissions. So you can go to any authorized Allison service center to get them repaired. So you could take this truck to a Peterbilt, Kenworth dealer and get the engine or the transmission worked on if they're an authorized repair center for that, which most of them are. So keep that in mind. You don't always have to go to a Freightliner dealer to get the truck repaired on. And remember, no matter how much we love these trucks, and we always preach to you that if you buy a brand new truck, your repairs will be less, I gotta be honest with you, is new trucks do break. They're man-made, and they're not always made right. So you will have warranty issues more than likely. So it's good to have a dealer close to you. All right, number 3. Let's talk about the features and benefits of a Freightliner M2. So I think one of the number one things is that I think a new truck, if you purchase a new truck and you spend that kind of money, that truck should look good. It should look sharp. It should look cool. And I have always felt that a Freightliner was a really good looking truck. So take a look at the truck behind me. That's a 2026 Freightliner M2. That's got the Cummins 6.7 liter engine. It's got the 3000 series Allison transmission. It's got a very nice chrome package. It is a D-rated truck. It's got 21,000 pound rear axle with a 12,000 pound front. So it's D-rated to 26. We always try to get the full 33 when we can. We can't always get that. And unfortunately, Freightliner did make some changes in their 2027 models that will no longer allow us to get a true 33 D-rated. It's going to be more like a 21,000 pound rear axle and a 10,000 pound front. So it'll still be very close to what we got here. The other thing that I really like about the Freightliner M2 is a lot of the trucks that we get, Peterbilt, Kenworth, Mack, they have a 50-gallon fuel tank. And guys think that that's not big enough. Now, you can get a full day of running out of a 50-gallon fuel tank, but you're filling up every day. Now, if you put a bigger tank on and you have a single tank, that tank will extend back here and take up valuable frame space. We like to leave this space open for additional toolboxes, waste cans, cone holder, rolly skate bracket. Freightliner M2, you can get these trucks with dual 50-gallon tanks. So we have a 50-gallon tank on the passenger side, and we have another 50-gallon tank on the driver's side. And there's very few manufacturers out there that do that. So how can Freightliner do it? On almost all trucks, the battery box is on the right-hand side underneath the cab. Where does Freightliner put their battery box? I think they're one of probably the only OEM that I know of that puts their battery box right here. It is right above the fuel tank. You might be able to see it better from back here. Here's the lid for it. There's 2 batteries in there. To access those batteries is a little bit tough because you got to take out a couple screws right here. And as the truck ages, gets 5-10 years old, those screws can be sometimes hard to remove because if you're in a northern country where there's salt, I've had it where sometimes they're hard to get off. But you take out these 4 screws, this panel comes off. This is a lid with just one simple latch. The lid pops off and you can access your 2 batteries. But they tuck them battery boxes up in there and they're out of the way, giving them the option to put a 50-gallon fuel tank in there. Now, I know what you guys are all thinking, well, how do I jump start this truck? I'm going to have dead batteries sometimes. And wow, that is something we've faced a lot up here in Michigan the last couple weeks here. We've had extremely cold weather. So that's a big concern. Where do I jump start this truck? Do I got to take off that panel, that cover to get my jumpers in there? No, you don't. Let me show you. And this hood is very easy to open. So come over here to the passenger side. You've got a battery terminal right here. And that's just a cover you pop off. You can hook your jumper cables right there, jump start the truck if you need to. Which, while we're talking about batteries, have any of you guys noticed the quality of batteries that they've been putting in trucks or in anything? I think the quality on batteries has went way down. But anyhow, that's the neat thing about a Freightliner M2. You can get 2 50-gallon fuel tanks. So if fuel capacity is important to you, I think that's why you should consider a Freightliner M2. Whereas if you want a 100-gallon fuel tank, remember you're going to take up valuable frame space. And that's something we don't really like to do on a hook lift truck. All right, let's talk about turning radius. That is something that's really important to anybody that's driving a truck, is the turning radius. And Freightliner does really, really well. I wish that we could take these trucks out and show you exactly how sharp they turn, but it's really hard to do that in a video because what do you have to reference it to? But I can tell you, owning and operating Freightliner M2s, they have a good turning radius. Their axle sits back a little bit here in the front, which gives you a good turning radius, which is important to you when you're hauling trash because you get into a lot of tight situations. Let's talk about visibility. I think that is such a key in any truck, is to have really good visibility. So take a look at the Freightliner M2. They have a nice curved windshield that wraps around so you don't have a lot of blind spots. They have a very short hood and it's sloped. so you can see the front of your truck. You can see how close you're getting to obstacles. I think the best thing on a Freightliner M2 is their back window. Take a look at that. They have a full back window that goes the entire way across that cab. I'm amazed at some of these manufacturers that put a small window right in the middle in the back. Guys, I'm a visual person, so when I'm backing up, I'll use my mirrors, but man, if I can look out the back window, I sure will. So Freightliner definitely has it dialed in on their visibility. All right, guys, let's hop inside the cab yet while we're talking about features and benefits. And I want to show you some really neat things inside the cab, some changes that they've made, and how the cab is laid out so you can get a good feel to see if it's a fit for you. So let's hop in and take a look. All right, guys, just take a look at this cab. Let's start with the seats. We get a nice high back seat on these. They got dual armrests, which I think is really, really important. I like the layout of their dash. So remember how I said the Freightliner M2, they haven't made a lot of changes to the cab and hood, but the interior they did. They have definitely upgraded the interior and made some significant changes that I really, really like. Probably the biggest one is the navigation. You can now get a navigation factory backup camera right there. More and more of the OEM are offering that now. I think it's really important to get that. If we have the option, we order all trucks with that now, just because we've had such good feedback from our customers how much they like that. They got the smart steering wheel. You've got your controls for your cruise. I think even your radio controls over here on the left, your cruise is on the right. That's really, really a nice feature that more and more trucks are coming out with. You got all your buttons here neatly labeled. They got a plug right at the back of the cab to wire in, so you're not running wires up inside the dash here. That's really nice. Exhaust brake is pretty much standard. They got a partial digital dash. Like the steering wheel, just this lever here you flip down and you've got back and forth, telescoping in and out. And for the transmission, I'll be honest, Allison has always had the keypad, and that's still my favorite because that's what I'm used to. But Freightliner, it just has a knob right here, drive, neutral, and reverse. Still very easy to operate. It all comes down to what you're used to. But personally, I like the keypad. But anyhow, sitting in the seat, you can see the visibility. I just feel that Freightliner makes a really, really nice interior that your driver will feel good sitting in and looking out and operating this truck. So, oh, and the air horn. They still have a cord. I think that's, never get tired of that. I hate it. These guys are switching to a button on the steering wheel. For some reason, that just doesn't seem right. But anyhow, there's the interior of a cab. I like them. I think you would too. If you haven't been in a Freightliner M2, come on out, jump in one, drive it, test it, and see what you think. All right, we are going to now talk about the equipment on the back of the truck, the fourth item. So let's hop out and we'll go over the equipment, fill you guys in on what our favorite equipment is that we put on these Freightliner M2s. All right, guys, let's talk about the equipment on the back of the truck. And what I want to make important to you guys today is that everything on this truck is how we do each and every build. Everything's standard. There's no extras on this truck. Everything that you see on this truck is how we build every single truck that's under CDL. So let's start with the strobe lights here in the front. We put 2 strobe lights in the grille. That's standard on all of our trucks. There is 4 of them at the back. Let's take a look at those while we're talking about strobe lights. Again, that's standard. They're built-in strobe lights in the bumper that we build. So you can take a look at that, see how bright they are, the good visibility. You can see that from a long ways off because safety is important when you're out there dropping cans along a busy street. Let's talk about the rear bumper while we're back here. So this is a bumper that we make here in-house, a very heavy-duty bumper. It's a very thick plate here. It is all set up to pull trailer if you wish. So we do have the extendable bumper that we're now putting on all of our trucks. You can easily take that off. It's simply 4 bolts, 2 on each side. You take those bolts off, that bumper comes off. You can put a pintle hitch of your choice right here. You got the D-rings. You've got a trailer plug right here. That is the RV flat 7-way plug. You've got your marker lights tucked up underneath here so they don't get damaged by trash. You've got your rear camera here. Again, a bracket over that so it doesn't get damaged. Mud flaps are at the back away from your rear tires so you don't rip them off when you're backing up into a pile of trash. Good poly fenders. We are a big fan of these. They are made just a couple miles from our shop, and we put all poly fenders on every one of our trucks because it's a good, durable fender that's easy to replace if it gets damaged. And even if you do hit it, it doesn't look so ugly. We build all of our trucks with this style of toolbox. Dual cam lock aluminum. Very, very good toolbox that will hold up. There's cheaper toolboxes that we could put on. We've chose not to do that. We used to use cheaper boxes. This has held up much better and looks good much longer. So we really like that. Let's talk about the tarp system. So Waste Warrior tarp, Sherco tarp. We are a big fan of those. We've sold tons of them over the years. They have done very well for us. They have a couple really neat features. If you want to extend the arms, it's just 2 Allen head screws right here. Loosen them, you can extend your arms, and you can adjust it for different container lengths right here. 2 bolts you loosen up, pull a pin out, slide that back. Different holes here. So if you're running an 18-foot container, you can easily adjust the tarp to fit that container. Extendable gantry. Again, something that's important. Get that gantry, that tarp up above your dumpster so you can roll your tarp out across the dumpster and not catch the trash and tear that tarp, because we all know how easy those tarps tear. Floodlights here at the back. We no longer use the U-bolt to mount this to the frame. They designed this bracket for us that attaches it to the hoist, and the tarp system sets right in there, bolts together really neatly, and got rid of them U-bolts that we didn't like anyhow. The tarp does run off of a remote inside the cab. You can carry that with you, operate the tarp, or there's buttons on the other side to operate it manually. Let's talk about the hoist. So, swap loader, SL214. This is one of our most popular hoists that we absolutely love, that has done very well for us, and it fits really good with this size truck. We feel like that hoist is the best setup for this size truck. You know, you could put an SL212 on there, but that takes only a 14-foot container, and I do not recommend that. I just had a customer call me the other day, and he said, you know, I want to put an SL212 on my 33 GVW truck. And I said, you can absolutely do that. I don't recommend it, because that only take a 14-foot container. That might be exactly what you want today, but if you ever try to sell that truck, it's going to be much harder, because so many of you guys want to run 16-footers or 18-footers in this business when you're staying under CDL. So that's a 20,000-pound hoist that has the adjustable jib height, 36 to 54. It's very easy to switch that. You simply run your hook back in the pickup mode, pull that pin out, and flip it around. So, question we get asked a lot is about dumpster lengths. So I just want to break it down and be super clear so you guys understand, because I understand there's a lot of new guys that are getting on watching these videos and they don't always understand what does an SL214 do. So with a 14-foot box, you're going to be 14 feet right here to the back. You can take up a 16-footer, you're going to have a 2-foot overhang. But you can haul an 18-foot box on there, and you will have a 4-foot overhang. That will get very close to the ground when you go dump an 18-footer, but there's guys that are doing it. So the hoist is designed for it. It can carry up to 18 foot. I'll tell you that most people are running 16-footers on an SL214. It gives you the 2-foot overhang. If you pull a trailer, it doesn't get in the way of that. Works out really, really well. Just a nice, simple hoist. It's got these rollers at the back. You can load up from an angle if you want to, pull your dumpster straight, roll it up on these wheels. Universal body locks. We still get a lot of questions on that. What is the universal body lock? And I have no problem explaining it in every video because it's done well for us, and almost all of our hoists have that on now because the demand has went up that much. It really works well for you guys that are running different brands of hoist in your fleet, because every brand of hoist out there has their own style of body locks. And what this has done has given you the ability to run any of your containers on this truck without modifying the body locks on your container. These 2 yellow levers simply flip up and latch into the rail, and yes, they are DOT approved. We get that question sometimes if I get pulled over and the DOT officer cannot see that I have my dumpster securely fastened? Are they going to give me a ticket? Is that DOT approved? Yes, it is. So that simply runs off the controls in the cab. When those levers flip up, that triggers a red light on your controller that tells you that the two levers are engaged, and it will also lock out the jib assembly so that you cannot operate the jib front or back with those locked in. It has done well for us, but just remember, it's a hydraulic part that operates, and anytime you have hydraulic moving parts, you're going to have something that you got to maintain, so you got to think about that. There will be some things that you'll probably have to do over the years to keep them operating correctly. If you don't like it, you can easily remove it and go back to the swap loader outside body locks that they've had around forever. They will bolt to the same bolts right here. You simply tap off your hydraulic lines and you continue to use it just like before. While we're here at the back, I'm just going to talk about the spring suspension. I know I'm kind of jumping in the middle of our equipment here. You know, we get these trucks in, some are air ride, some are spring suspension. I can't tell you which one's better than the other. The biggest thing that we hear on air ride is that they're a lot more, they sway back and forth with a tall dumpster, heavy load. Spring is a lot more firm. That's usually the number one reason people go to air ride, is because they ride just a little bit better. But you get a dumpster on here, this truck rides nice. So that pretty much wraps up the equipment on this truck. Just take a look at how we route our hydraulic hoses. This is the hydraulic tank over here on the driver's side. This is the controls. This is the brains to the swap loader hoist. Everything is inside there. Inside there is your valve body. If you ever get into a position where the hoist is halfway up and something malfunctions, you can pop this cover off and take a screwdriver and push down on that relief valve, and it'll open up the solenoid and you can put your hoist down slowly. So there's neat things about that. You get your shutoff valve here in the hydraulic tank, filter, and that's just normal hydraulic fluid in there. There's nothing special. You can run 46 weight, you can run the 32 weight depending on where you are. Let me just talk about these pads here for a minute too while we're talking about the hoist. If you wear these out, you can simply take out these 4 bolts, flip them over, and get more life out of these pads. So that's a really neat thing that swap loader has. All right guys, so that pretty much wraps up the entire walk around on this Freightliner M2. Hopefully we helped answer some questions for you and given you a good review on why this is a great truck. So to wrap this up, I guess I just want to say that I believe in the Freightliner M2. I think it's a good truck. It's got good resale value. It holds up well in the field. And I think that if you're looking for a new truck, that you should definitely consider the Freightliner M2. We have sold a bunch of these trucks over the last couple years, and we have a bunch of these trucks on order. So we're going to have plenty of availability coming up. And I forgot to mention, we're also got a bunch of them coming with the L9 Cummins. So they're going to have about 350 horsepower, so that'll also be a really good thing for you guys. So, hey, any questions, hit us up. We'll be more than happy to discuss trucks with you at great length to help answer any questions that you have. But as always, remember, you can come out, test drive these trucks, load dumpsters out here in our lot. So we're here to help you. If you got any questions, do not hesitate to call us. We'll be more than happy to discuss trucks with you. And remember to please check out our website. All the specs are on there, all the pictures of these trucks. You can get all the information you need there. And remember, until next time, keep it quality.